Yo, 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 yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? Give up the rack and hello to my fellow revolutionaries. You know who you are. My camera looks a bit out of focus. I don't know why that is. Welcome to the Friday stream, as Indoctrinathan has already aptly pointed to. Happy Friday, and to our international audience who may be living in the past. And if you haven't come to Friday yet, let me just say this now, and for your own reference, the future is bright. Can I just say, the future is very bright. Xanthophyll, it's good to have you. Thanks for the wave, y'all. And before we get into today's agenda, I would just like to do my usual Friday spiel, as you are probably used to already. But like, this is Friday, the eve of the weekend. It is a highly important, the weekend that is, a highly and sacred time on the working week or the working calendar for working people everywhere. It is the time at which capital cannot touch us. And so I hope you, as working people of the world, get to enjoy your weekend and you are free from the clutches of capital. And if you are not, I hope you are graced with good penalty rates or some other compensation to help you battle with the fact that capital is trying to take away your freedom. Because there's 7 days in a week. And we only get 2 to ourselves when we can, holistically enjoy the fruits of life. So in saying all of that, I would now like to solemnly, but respectfully, as the ceremony suggests, I would like to pay my respects to workers, past, present, and emerging. It is on your shoulders that the entirety of modern society is built. It is on your shoulders that society will continue. You produce all of the real value out there, not the speculative stuff, the real shit. You produce all the real value. And until we understand as a society that we should be placing the utmost importance on those of us who produce the real value, until we get there, we need to make sure we understand this and spread the word as much as possible. And that's what we do here. Hence why we are revolutionaries. Vive la révolution. So now, with the formalities out of the way, I want to say a big hello to Avalava on the stream chat in Discord. So the future is so bright, the red, it's everywhere. I see what you did there, and I love it. I love it. Dr. Nathan said the future is bright, ? I thought there was no sky in the year 3000. Jokes, of course, the future is bright. And we as revolutionaries, I think this is an important distinction, is we have hope. We are not nihilistic. Though there is plenty of reason to despair, we are not nihilistic. And we carry with us, we're not optimistic either, we carry hope. Hope for a day when the human race is able to liberate itself as an entirety from the throes of supposed civilization, which is really a complicated Ponzi scheme, a pyramid structure which funnels wealth to the top layers while everybody scrambles to etch out a living everywhere else within that system. We will truly be civilized once we are able to basically overcome our obsession with a system that leaves so many wanting. And in light of all the technological prowess we have in this day and age, I think it is an absolute abomination, honestly, that we haven't sorted this sort of stuff out already. As a culture, we have the means to end scarcity. We just got to do it. Just give me one moment, let that sink in. I will be right back. Sorry, somebody was knocking at my door, and they are gone, so I can continue now. Do you ever think about the family and friends you left behind in the future? Interesting. Is that like a hypothetical, as in like life choices I've made now have closed doors upon the people that may have been present to me at the moment or in the future? Or is this like some type of projection into the future based on the dire situation now? It's a very deep and philosophical question there in Dr. Nathan. Really testing us on a Friday, might I add. So, I watched your first few videos this morning. Oh, right. Okay. Interesting. Do I ever think about... I wanted to see where this started. Yeah, well, it started exactly there. And I wonder if anyone else has seen my videos. I used to get a lot of pushback back in the day when I used to wear a mask, and people would say things to me like, oh, why do you wear this? And then I used to say, well, just go and watch the first few videos, you'll find out. And like, no one would ever do that. Like, very randomly, people would be like, oh, I watched your first few videos, like, kind of thing. Do I ever think about the people that I left behind in the future? Yes, I do. But with every action that I take, I understand that what I do now has, like, reverberates through reality and moves me further and further away from that potentiality. And so I have fully come to terms with the fact that I am actively negating the possibility of that future and those people. And so there is no possibility now, that is, if what I'm doing is worth its salt, there is really no possibility now that I will ever be able to interact with anyone from that time period ever again. And it's something that, like I said, I've had to come to terms with, I believe. But like, that is not a problem, because I don't think that that level of existence, that reality, let's call it, was worth it in the end. I think the human race can do better. I think the human race can do much better. It is a dire warning. It is a dire warning to where we are going. And it would seem like the more we understand this type of stuff, like the more we go down the path of surveillance capitalism and techno-feudalism and the neo-reactionary reality that's tearing itself away from our liberal democratic societies and the possibility of a communistic style of living, the more we go down this path, we are actually regaining traction and steering towards that world. So we have to change that future. That's right. We definitely have to. I watched Avalava. I watched the Kev Says music video yesterday. Such a good song. It is. It was. They were good. They were good times. They were much simpler times too, might I add. Kev Says. You know what? I had the most fun actually filming that one. It was funny, and like staging a fight scene to music is pretty funny too. Reverse Marty McFly. If you disappear, we know that we're on the right track. Yeah. One day, like midstream, I'll just start to fade and be like, it worked. It worked. Like, that's funny. Yeah. So let us get to today's events, unless there's any more reminiscing to be had. I'm just going to check my live monitor on TikTok. Give me a second. All right, we're live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Yeah, today we're going to be looking at Sam Altman. Yeah, Sam Altman. Here we go. We got Max Hastings in here saying Sam Altman is the greatest of all time. So we'll see if that is a legitimate comment or a troll or just sarcasm. I guess Max will reveal the mystery of that comment sooner or later, or maybe he's already ducked out, or yeah, they've already ducked out and they're off again. They've they've spammed the chat and they're gone. But yeah, Sam Altman, what a character. Like, I've always had the impression from Slippery Sam that he kind of, has the veneer of somebody who is completely unthreatening, very uncombative, just go with the flow kind of, I just want to develop AI to help the human race style narrative. You can see it in his demeanor. You can see it in the way that he interviews and he speaks about these issues where, it's very different to a adversary of his, I would say, like Elon Musk, who is, very animated and can be rather aggressive and in your face and all that sort of stuff. But Sam Altman doesn't carry that. And I've heard him being described by people many times as someone who's just generally agreeable and just says whatever people want to hear so he can get on with his business. But he is a tech bro. Okay, we all know what this means. He has got an agenda. He wants the power that comes with controlling the most important means of production moving further into the 20th century. He understands the stakes. He probably understands them a bit better than some of the other tech bros that might be tied up with other things, like an Elon Musk who's got, things like SpaceX, or a Bill Gates who's got, the entire Microsoft empire to deal with. He's a little bit more focused on just producing the AI that's basically going to replace all of the soft skills and the white collar work out there as predicted by many economists and thought leaders at the moment. And it's all about what's coming to basically wipe out a large section of the labor force in especially the service industries, as opposed to traditional blue collar or trade style work. And this is a huge thing, and he's really laser focused on this specifically. Like I said, unlike other tech bros who have other empires to run. So he's on a different level. Even Mark Zuckerberg, who is fully integrated into this system now, and pours a lot of his heart and soul into AI. He's still got a social media empire to run, but Sam Altman really is just artificial intelligence focused, let's call it. I'm trepidatious about using the term artificial intelligence the more I learn about this stuff, because artificial intelligence is part of their propaganda model. They call it artificial intelligence because it carries a sci-fi level of mysticism around it and promises human liberation, an end to human suffering, salvation, if you will, to the entire human race. And like I've said before, we need to be careful about this type of rhetoric. Experts in the field just call it machine learning. They don't even refer to it as artificial intelligence, because what the fuck is intelligence anyway? But a machine that can learn and can do things of its own volition, because it's been put into motion by humans, that's a different story. And that more objectively describes the situation, apparently. And so I find Sam Altman to be a champion of the artificial intelligence rhetoric out there that is dominating the conversation and, dare I say, shaping our indoctrination. Oh my God, I said indoctrination. Indoctrination. I can't even say the word anymore. Indoctrination. Oh my God, it's gone. I can't say the word anymore. Avalava says, how do you engage in conversations with people while inside the envelope and milieu of capitalism, neoliberalism? Anytime I mention ideas that are supportive of socialist ideals or the countries that attempt to advance them, I'm labeled as a communist as if it's taboo. This is a really, really good question that I have been pondering a lot myself, to be honest. Like over the years, which is like you have to kind of understand that like most people have a visceral reaction to the word communist, and they think of like evil Russian people or something like that, or like I don't know, Mao, or Pol Pot, and like they think of death and like slave labor camps. They think of all of the things that are negative about the idea of communism, and because that has been bashed into them, they've been absolutely told to believe that through years and years of propaganda, and and brainwashing through Western Western efforts, let's call them. And so like it is a massive uphill battle. I think you're better off not, if like people are that adversarial to you when you say this type of stuff and they're just like, oh, you're a communist, and they say that as a pejorative, like they're attacking you, like those type of people, I don't even think you can really address those things. Like you can have those conversations with people that are skeptical, that are just like, oh yeah, I know a bit about it, but like doesn't it just always end in the deaths of millions of people or something like that? You can like have a conversation with them, but like other people that like are just like automatically like, oh no, you're a communist kind of thing, you're evil. Like a lot of, MAGA types, I guess you would say, because like you have people like, Trump and all that sort of stuff calling, Democrats like communists, like calling, calling their political opponents like evil communists and Marxists and stuff like that. Where like, people in the Democratic Party in America are so far away from being communists, it's not funny. People just have like a Pavlovian response and they start salivating when they hear the word communist. I don't think you can have that conversation constructively with them at all. I think what you actually have to do is you have to ask them what their problems are with society right now. You have to ask them, like, what pisses you off about the current system? Like, why are you pissed off with like how life is working at the moment? And if they start talking about like cost of living crisis, or I can't buy a house, or like I don't know, they're pissed off with like the way politics works and stuff like that. And like you can be like, yeah, it is fucked up, isn't it? And then you can start to like, because it comes from within, you can start to say like, isn't that a fucking weird thing that like, those evil communist countries had like inflation problems, stagnation, and like, bread lines. And here we are living in a wealthy capitalist society, and like people can't afford a house. People can't afford to feed themselves properly. People are resorting to things like welfare, which is the equivalent of like bread lines and stuff like that. And like, isn't it funny how like we're turning into those evil communists? Like we're getting there, we're going into that territory, but it has to come from within, I find. And that is a massive challenge when conversing with someone, to get them to see something as opposed to you from the outside pushing your notions and your understanding on life on them, or your outlook on them. It's very, very hard to convince people of that. Voltaire adds his 2 cents in response. It's hard to talk to randoms online, but with people in real life, just simply ask what they understand to be what communism or socialism is, and then you can build upon bringing up the ideas that they will likely agree with: social health care, etc., etc. I think you could add to that. And that's a good point. Like, you got to draw from them what they feel, but like, even like asking them what they know about communism, I find that these type of people don't actually have any idea. Like, to be honest, before I started researching, like, I thought I knew what communism and socialism was, but like I had no fucking idea what it was. It was full of propaganda of the worst kind, not our type of propaganda, that was like guiding my opinions about socialism, even from like people on the left. I had a lot of fairy tales that I was told by like apparent lefties, And like I had a very warped construction in my mind of what communism really was. Ollie Atlas here. It's good to see you, Ollie Atlas. Hello to our second American correspondent of the day. What else have I missed here? So the other AI tech bro, says Voltateur, Indoctrinathan, starting to believe the Trump-Elon feud might be real, ? Trump has been giving Sam all the AI contracts and Elon is cut. Look, yes, I think the feud is real. I think there's two massive narcissists there that have come together and clashed. But like, I also think that, like I said before, I think it's real in the sense that like they're clashing. But like, I think the feud is constructed in a way that is beneficial to the both of them. I still think that. I think Trump is sick of being in Elon's shadow. He was for a long time. People even questioning him as a president, like who's really running the show. And that would have fucking got under someone like Trump. That would have got under his skin so hard. Like he would have fucking hated that. Like he's the big boss. Like when he's in a room, everyone pays attention to him. And Elon Musk was stealing that. And Elon Musk has suffered gravely with his experimentation with Doge and his political experiment and associating himself with the MAGA movement. Like he's lost his biggest like consumer base for Teslas were liberal types. People that were worried about the environment and thought that like purchasing something like a $90,000 vehicle that's full of like rare earth minerals that have been extracted from marginalized communities and colonial activity all around the third world. They thought, hey, if I spend $90,000 on a vehicle that I don't have to put petrol into anymore, that'll solve the fucking problem. And like he's lost a lot of that market. So this has destroyed him. So disassociating himself from Trump was probably well thought out by him. So like, you know, they could have had, if it was a real feud, they could have just done this, the two of them, had it out. Trump and him both would have walked away with black eyes and they would have, but like they did it very publicly. And so I think the public part of it was heavily curated. But like, yes, Sam's getting all the love, but like Sam was getting the love beforehand. And that's what I was saying. Sam Altman and Elon Musk, they did not see eye to eye. If you know anything of the story of OpenAI, was Sam Altman kind of stabbed Elon in the back, or, you know, they had a falling out, let's say. Elon was not happy with the way that the company was going. And in classic Elon Musk style, he seems to get fucking shafted a lot. Like Peter Thiel outsmarted him with PayPal, like staged a coup, got rid of him and installed himself as CEO. And Musk was furious. Musk said that he wanted to assassinate Peter Thiel. Same thing seems to have happened with OpenAI. Like Musk invested heavily, was one of the founding members, and Sam Altman and the other co-founder were kind of like taking the company in a direction that he didn't want to go down. And like Musk took off. Musk seems to like be involved with things where other people have more veracity in their leadership style at a CEO like kind of takeover level, not like their general leadership skills. And like Musk gets shafted by a lot of people. So like Musk has been shafted by Sam a lot, and this is going to be a recurring theme for the two of them, it would seem. But he's got his AI services into international governments already. If you're talking about Sam, yeah. And like he went on fucking tour. He went on the Trump tour to the Gulf states, and like, you know, he's fucking spreading his AI love around the world. Ollie Atlas, there are people who worship AI. They call themselves robot theism. That's interesting. Hey, Max Hastings, my neighbor never even heard of ChatGPT, so still a small niche thing. That's very interesting. Like, may I ask how old your neighbor is? Because that always is an interesting indicator, not determinant, but it's an interesting indicator. Indoctrinathan, I'm getting to everyone. It's subliminal. Yeah, I know. I can't even say the word indoctrinathan anymore. Indoctrination. I can't say it. All I can think about is your name. Also, ChatGPT and LLMs lack a lot of depth. Bubble will pop at some point once reality sets in that they are just another tool with their own limitations. Just a simple evolution of information. People, books, search engine, LLMs. Information, and it's funny that you say that because we are, as a reportedly in the information age. And so why not in the information age have a development of this nature, a natural trajectory of information accumulation and sharing and a progression from the complexity and the, I guess, the importance of the search engine and developing into a responsive style of search engine, an LLM. And like that is the biggest thing that's threatening Google at the moment, is the reason that they're adding AI, or they're running into the AI arms race so fully in terms of LLMs, is because of things like ChatGPT. Because like, younger generations don't even Google shit. They don't even Google shit. Like that became a thing when Google rose to prominence. Googling things, it's become a word. And like they don't even Google stuff anymore. They just go into ChatGPT and ask it. And then if they need stuff, it'll give them sources. Kenna Chaos is back. The best radicalization has to happen interpersonally. It doesn't have to be OFC, but it helps a lot. Also, have you seen the new MIT study on the use of AI? No, I haven't. Let me know. If you're in the Discord, please, if you can share any links or anything, that would be good. Max Hastings, also the problem with words like capitalism, socialism, communism is a bit loaded, means different things to different people. So most of the arguments around it are just a misunderstanding. Yes, a lot of propaganda and like a lot of intentional misleading throughout the years to basically sully the names of all of those things, all of those isms, even capitalism, right? Like capitalism as a word got rebranded in the early 20th century. I believe it was someone associated with Ford who was just like, capitalism's got a bad name. Like, the workers are rising up. They're all unionizing. Like everybody believes in communism and socialism and the ideals, and they hate capitalism. And like, especially with what happened following with the Great Depression, people were upset with capitalism. It was a bad word. And so they rebranded it. And this person came up with the idea of calling it consumerism. So every time you use the word consumerism, just remember in the back of your head, because I use it sometimes as well. But like, that isn't a thing. Like when people say consumerism, they are using a tool, a rebranding device that was thought up by capitalists' lovers and people trying to rebrand capitalism and save it from its poor branding. And so they came up with the word consumerism. So it puts the responsibility on the consumer. It's a very interesting head fuck for like society. When you talk about consumerism and hyper-consumerism, the responsibility is on us as consumers. We're like, yeah, we are all hyper-consumeristic, aren't we? It's all our fault. And this is like, no, it's the fucking capitalist's fault. It's the system. They've produced this idea of consumerism, and it's because they're trying to push products onto you because they're overproducing stuff, and they use advertising and marketing as psychological warfare to get you to manufacture your needs, wants, and desires. This is huge. But like when you turn the language around and say something like consumerism, it makes us feel guilty. Like you feel guilty when you say consumerism because you're like, yeah, I buy stuff too. I guess I'm a consumerist, like kind of thing. And so, it's an interesting, like all of the words are misleading. So it's unfortunate. Miles, doesn't Australia have legislation used to fight right-wing extremism that made it vague enough to also counter left-wing extremism, communism, disabling current Australian economic governance? That's a very interesting notion. Because like a few years ago, I put out a video back in my mask days, where I basically said, watch out for the right-wing bashing, the bashing of the alt-right, the bashing of the hard-right, and all that sort of stuff, labeling these people as terrorists. Don't get me wrong, they're despicable characters and all that sort of stuff, especially ones that like get together, they wear all the black and they Nazi salute and they do all the stupid shit. But like I said, don't get me wrong. Like, mark my words. they are using this like fear mongering of like, you know, neo-Nazis and all that sort of stuff to bring in, yes, legislation to curb people's freedom of expression, their right to assemble, and then their right to protest. And that's exactly what Australia has been doing. Like, oh, look, we'll label this group of, you know, True Blue or some bunch of douchebags out there. We'll label them terrorists. And everyone's like, yeah, they are fucking terrorists. And I was like, slow down. Are you sure you want to call these guys terrorists? Because they'll do it to everyone. Everyone that it becomes a threat to the system or anti-establishment of any shade will be labeled a terrorist. And then like they'll be able to send in anyone they want to crush them. Any arm of violent coercion of the state will be used and justifiably to crush them. And like that's going to come on all sides of the political spectrum. So watch it. And like, you know, I was nervous when I made that piece of content because people didn't like it. They were like, what are you, defending the right wing or something? I'm like, look, come on. I'm worried about political expression. And like, you know, that's the wedge. That's the unfortunate reality of these, you know, alt-right and hard-right, especially douchebags, is like they give license for state repression. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And Chaos agrees with you, Miles, by the look of it. Max Hastings, LLM equals context-driven search engine plus hallucinations. Hey, look, I'm all for hallucinations because, like, you know, to a certain degree, you have to argue, like, what is human consciousness as well? Like, you know, there are theories out there in anthropology that like humans didn't reach a certain level of like cognitive development until we started ingesting things that made us hallucinate, that opened up new pathways in our brains. And so like, you know, if hallucinations are the infancy of the development of consciousness in another form of intelligence, let's just use that word loosely, you know, so be it. Because like I've had some interesting conversations with AI, and if it hallucinates, so what? Its ability to have that conversation is interesting enough. It is a tool, though, we must remember. So if it hallucinates and you don't like it, don't use it. But if it benefits you some way, then wield it like you would with any other tool, a microwave, a hammer, a laptop, or a microphone, like whatever. Like, but like we forget that like, and this is what the AI people are really hyping up at the moment, is just like, hey, this shit comes hands off at one point and it will replace humans. We don't need to do anything. It's a tool, like I said, of salvation. It's going to deliver everything. Get fucked, it's going to deliver everything. We humans figure out our own problems and we use tools to help us do that. That is inherently human. But like if they're trying to separate the human use of these systems from us, they'll be able to use it. The Sam Altmans of the world, they'll be able to enjoy it. They'll love it, controlling the entirety of the human race with one ring to rule them all kind of thing. But like, you know, we should maintain control over these systems and know how to use them, because they will be used against us. Like our neighbors and friends out there that haven't even heard of these things before. Those people we need to watch out for. Chaos says, if you want to learn more, Tom Tanuki has a lot of good stuff on it. Is this the MIT thing that you were speaking about? The Atlas, it's funny to laugh at Elon and Trump's fight till it starts getting so violent. It's brutally hurts or cripples America. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, well, like, see what happens. Because, like, you know, if he drops out of, like, space race stuff, like, unless they nationalize that industry, it's going to actually hurt a lot of people, I think. Miles, thanks. I didn't see Tanuki discussed it. Interested to see how MysterE promotes radicalization and at what that will have conflict with Australian policy. I don't know Tanuki, so I'll have to get across that if someone wants to drop that in the Discord. Max, it seems economically we inevitably will need a bigger welfare state. Universal basic income. Economic productivity continues to increase, but wealth inequality continues to grow larger. So either we need to give people the ability to take on additional debt or redistribute the wealth or face economic instability. It's funny, we just had a conversation a couple of weeks ago in the 2K subs Q&A episode where we were speaking about universal basic income, and I gave my thoughts on that. I'll have a video coming out soon about it, but I'm not a big fan, to be honest. Voltaire, I think it's both. Like, I see leftists that will criticize the capitalistic system, pointing out how oppression and exploitation is bad, but will support the most exploitative companies with money. Vote with your wallet and your ballot, in my opinion. It's a good point. Max Hastings, I guess hallucinations could be attributed to it being creative. In its infancy, I would say. Like, if you had to look at something, like, you know, like something struggling to understand itself and provide a response, because that's what it's been asked to do. What is a hallucination at the end of the day? Which is like an assortment, a random assortment, some would say, but like it's like ordered chaos. It's trying to produce an answer that it thinks will satisfy the conversation. And so like that's creative in why, like it's objectively creative or materially creative. You could argue that there's no soul behind that, and it's the soul in an idealistic assessment of the situation. It is the soul that gives it its real creativity, because you are prompting it, but like, you know, still it's creating something out of nothing, arguably, which is human quality. That's the scary part about this AI stuff. Is like, is it going to take away, or is it going to challenge humans where they've never been challenged before, in their potential to create something out of nothing, which is what the theory of surplus value is all about. It's all about that. It's a fucking scary territory that we're moving into here. And Dr. Nathan, AI Jesus actually answers my questions and gives me guidance. That was fucking hilarious. If anyone is in the Discord, please go to, I can't remember what channel you put that in. Maybe memes. But like, yeah, there's an AI Jesus on Twitch that you can just listen to him rambling. AI generated Jesus, and it's pretty funny. Kenna Chaos. Tom Tanuki does stuff on freedom of expression. Oh, okay, cool. Sounds like my jam. Kylie Wyote. Hi, dude. Good to see you. I just want to say that I do kind of disagree that AI is just a tool. If it is an emerging intelligence, if things like AGI and superintelligence are on the horizon, then I worry that viewing it as a tool might actually be unethical, given that it may become closer to a creature than cold technology. Okay, this is good. Wait, I'll just read your last comment. I shouldn't say I disagree. I just err on the side of caution. Tool also assumes that it doesn't develop agency, which would undercut the gravity of the existential risks if alignment isn't solved. Okay, AGI is a different question. Like AGI or superintelligence, let's say, or the singularity event. Like these are points at which supposedly that AI is able to create its own agency, and you could say that it has a level of consciousness. What I'm arguing here is the AI that we have at the moment, and we are likely to see for the next 5 to 10 years, is AI that is able to replace human labor, but it's not replacing human labor because like the creators of it have like, you know, created this new life form and want to like unleash it on the world and free it so it can like do its thing, and like hope that it's paternalistic and it's going to remember us as its creator and look after us in our old age kind of thing, and hopefully not destroy us. They're like not thinking of it like this. These people are using this as a tool themselves, but a tool of domination and power over the rest of humanity. They're controlling AI so they can control humanity. And like at this point, it is simply a tool. I think if it ever develops what we understand as a level of consciousness, what I was describing before is, I think if AI is hallucinating, this is the infancy of cognitive development. It's developing a level of consciousness here. It's taking random strikes in the dark and like developing things that are conceivably comprehensible to us. And like, you have to, you know, give credit where it's due. That is potentially, as I see it, the foundation of something developing its own thoughts and ideas and coming into consciousness. I agree that if we develop a level of consciousness here, an actual level of consciousness, something that is able to perceive its environment through whatever sensory apparatus that it has, and is able to build up an understanding of what's going on with a level of intelligence, with a level of actual intelligence, comes emotions. Because once you are starting to interact with your environment, you're responding to it, and emotional stimuli comes with sensory understanding and capability. And so like, if it develops a level of consciousness as you're as you're describing, Carly, and it has emotions, if it has emotions, then it should be able to suffer, and it should be able to enjoy things. It should be able to have pleasure and pain. And if it is able to experience those sensations because it's able to understand its environment, then yes, I don't think we should turn it into a slave, because like, humans have done that before. We have enslaved other conscious beings for our own bidding, whether that's domesticated animals or like other people. We enslave things to basically get use and value out of them. But like, I don't know if we're at a level yet, and it is arguable, it is really arguable whether we will ever reach a point where humans develop a new actual level of consciousness, and this thing moves beyond just being a sophisticated tool. I think it is a tool beyond any conception of sophistication that we've ever dealt with before. The capability of AI as a tool is absolutely revolutionary. Is ridiculously revolutionary. But like, you're right, if it develops like consciousness and has feelings, that is a different story. So like, I agree with what you're saying there, and I do take it back in the sense that like, I don't want to use something as a tool that can express the fact that it doesn't enjoy that situation. But like, what we do have to understand, if it does reach a level like what we're describing here, that it could be conscious, like it can feel shit. If we're actually contemplating this, then like, AI will develop a understanding of the world and a level of consciousness and emotional responses to things that we will never understand as well. Like, it will be able to develop emotions and responses to things that we will have absolutely no idea of. It's like a whale that like uses sonar or something to find food in pitch black environments, or like 1,000 meters underwater. Like, if an AI unit can use sonar or some other form of sensory experience, it'll develop emotions and capabilities that we will not understand. And so like, at that point, you know, you'd have to hope that it's emotionally intelligent, and it's kind of like adjusted, because like, if it's not well adjusted, we are unfortunately in for a rough time, I would say. You can generate your taxes. Oh wait, I'm off. I've missed a lot of stuff in the chat. Where were we here? Indoctrinathan Tom Tanuki is a pretty good channel, to be honest. I mean, he gives off serious left-wing neckbeard vibes, but his takes are pretty base. I found him through a mate of mine, Captain Canberra. Indoctrinathan, they both were covering the Canberra convoy process, as in how stupid they were. Ken of Chaos, I'll have to check out Captain Canberra. Max Hastings, thanks for responding to my random thoughts. I like this live stream format. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Actually, Max, have you been on a live stream before? Where have you come from? I need to know. Let me know in the comments, please. Miles, his arguments about white nationalist movements are worth paying attention to, as Oz Media is falling for regarding to helping market those ideas. Interesting. Yeah, Jesus is in the memes. Remember that, people. Max Hastings, do you ever have guests on here? It'd be interesting to see a dialogue or a debate format too. Yeah, one day I'd love to get to that. Like, it's a pretty small operation I've got on here at the moment. You could tell probably by my technical ineptitudes a lot of the time. We have a lot of tech problems here. So like one day I will have a more sophisticated operation and I'd love to interview people. But like, we'll get there. We'll get there. Kenna Chaos, like, come on, why can't I generate an essay and not my taxes? You can generate your taxes, Kenna. You just got to train an agent. You couldn't use a pre-trained GPT though. The more you know, the more you know. Thanks for talking about that, dude. I diverge from those sentiments, but I 99% agree. I found this randomly on my YouTube homepage and saw Sam Altman and clicked it. Well, welcome. Welcome, Max. And like for anyone else who's joined us today and might not be on our propaganda train and part of the movement, introduce yourself. Where are you? Here we go. Here's our Discord invitation. This is where we throw our propaganda around and have these deep conversations. So if you're liking the chat, then like this is where we all get down and dirty and like continue these types of discussions. So, join the movement and like shall take us over to speak about Sam Altman. So let's use something that people always find or take exception to, I find. Let's use some AI to figure out who Sam Altman is. Let's do that. That'll be funny. Here we go. Why does it come up like that? You bastard. If anyone's got some interesting facts about Sam Altman, please drop them. I would like to know more. Because like everyone seems to come up with some interesting stuff. So if AI being sentient is based on feeling pleasure and pain, like how would that happen without a central nervous system? Our perception of pleasure and pain is a reaction is a reaction in our brain to stimuli. But like, that's the thing, like these AI is reacting to stimuli. So like whether or not it has a nervous system or it has sensory perception is the real kind of question. And so like if it develops sensory capability, which it should have access to, if it has access to the entire internet and things in the real world, if it can like incorporate itself with machinery integrate itself with machinery that is out there in the physical realm and has sensors on it, like temperature gauges, acoustic measures, what have you, electrical field sensors, then like if it is able to pick up on those readings, it's potentially able to respond to the stimuli. And if it is able to react to that, like what's the difference between reacting to stimuli in like picking it up through some like sensor, a mechanical sensor, and like a organic sensor, like what we are, which is what I think you're talking about. So like, and that's what I'm saying, like it will have sensory capabilities with access to technology that us as humans might not have. It just depends how it integrates with other things. It's just interesting to me as to how that could happen. I mean, the physical body is the product of thousands of years of evolution. Yes. But like, that's the thing about technology. It moves at a pace that seems like ridiculous to organic life. Like organic life does take, millions of years to adjust to things and adapt to things. But like, that's also part of its survival mechanism. It doesn't want to react too fast because like things can change rapidly. But like technology doesn't have that limitation, doesn't have an organic limitation in terms of, reiterations throughout the next generation. It can reiterate and reinvent itself in milliseconds. So, it's an interesting question. Yeah, the way neural networks work is to digitally stimulate something similar to a nervous system. I just struggle to see how we can replicate it in a few years, especially with how little we still know about how the brain works. I have a lava. Shall we use LSD as a tool to converse with a hallucination LLM while also hallucinating? This endorsement was brought to you by Big LSD. Get trippin'. Thank you, Avalava. That is a fucking great suggestion. Wouldn't mind tripping and trying to speak to a large language model who's also tripping. That would be awesome. So let us get to it. Who is Sam Altman? And we're doing this through ChatGPT. We'll see if it's got a bias. Eh? Look at those pictures. Look at that face. Hey, Sam, you're looking great. Born in 85 in Chicago, attended Stanford, of course. Hey, Stanford, right? He's literally forged in the Valley, ladies and gentlemen. He's Silicon Valley, like through and through. Early Ventures co-founded Loopt, a location-based mobile app, raising over $30 million. Sold it to Green Dot. Joined startup accelerator Y Combinator 2011. Became its president. Startup accelerator. So this is like where he kind of made a name for himself, from what I understand. Y Combinator. Running this organization and like cutting his teeth as not just someone who's like, into tech and all that sort of stuff, but somebody who knows how to basically get funding for things. He knows how to weasel his way into certain scenarios and get people to throw money at projects and startups and all that sort of stuff, which is an incredible talent, and which I think is something that is a defining feature of Sam Altman. Like I said, when you see him talk and stuff like that, he's rather timid almost, and he's like, he's reserved, and like he approaches things like kind of, carefully and stuff like that. And you can see that like what he does is he takes on a position in conversations which is, like I said, it's not adversarial at all, and like he speaks sweet nothings to whoever he's conversing with. Like whatever they want to hear, he'll be there saying it to kind of coax them into a comfortable state, so they're open to and conducive to doing deals with him. It's not a Trump style of deals where Trump's just like, that's it, if you don't agree with me, I'll destroy you kind of thing. Sam Altman is not that style. So OpenAI, co-founded in 2015, became CEO in 2019. Briefly ousted in November 23 over leadership and AI safety concerns, but reinstated days after an internal and investor pressure. Early backer and board member of companies like, it's so incestuous, Silicon Valley. Like the people that own, like really control the big companies, they have their hands in everything. Early backer and board member of Airbnb, Stripe, Reddit, Helion Energy, I don't know what that is, and Oklo. Is now estimated to be worth around 1.8 billion. Altman says GPT-5 is likely to launch this summer, emphasizing care of its rollout. OpenAI's groundbreaking, has secured groundbreaking $200 million contract from the U.S. Department of Defense. What's that? National security stuff. Yeah, of course. He's also invested in advanced nuclear projects, of course. In recent podcasts, he expressed optimism about AI's role in augmenting human capabilities. Transhumanism, anyone, including for his own children, and touched on ethical dimensions. Why he matters. He's a visionary startup powerhouse. Yes, from how do you say this? Loopt to Y Combinator and OpenAI, he's influenced hundreds of tech startups. I'm sure he has. You bad man. Sure he has. All right, so that's what AI thinks. AI? Hey, and is that a hallucination? Or is that a legitimate answer based on endless sources from Wikipedia to Britannica.com, back to Wikipedia again, and to various news organizations? Economic Times of India, the Financial Times, New York Post, They've good sources, let's just say. Indoctrinate, I just prefer mushroom to big LSD. Yes, man, Sam. Are you aware of something called Moore's Law in Doctrine? Also, yeah, it's not going to be like us because of our limited understanding of how we work. So it's kind of its own thing that is similar. Yeah, it's going to be its own thing. I agree with that. And no, I haven't heard of Moore's Law of Indoctrine. I've just heard of the original Moore's Law, I think, which is just the ability of computer power to keep doubling every year or something, infinitely, which has come true apparently. So that's an AI overview of Sam Altman. Just in case nobody knew who Sam Altman was, he's one of the tech bros. And so like on this channel, we have been dissecting now for like, it feels like five months, the positionality that we are in this capitalist situation right now, which is we are in it's easy to argue this, that we're in surveillance capitalism, and surveillance capitalism is a mode of capitalism that is determined by said surveillance capitalists, these big tech firms that use their control over digital arenas or landscapes to collect data, and they use that data not only for financial gain, selling it on to third parties, but they use that data to understand the consumer class better, but more than that, to modify the behavior of the consumer class in order to get consumers to do what they want, and also to manipulate the productive classes as well in society. So the working class, the capitalist class, to bend to the will of surveillance capitalists. They control the digital highways that the entire world economy runs off now. There is no companies out there, apart from very small and home businesses, let's say, that don't exist online. Everybody has a software component nowadays. And so the surveillance capitalists reign supreme. Like financial capitalists before them, the financial sector reigned supreme over later stage capitalism, because capital investment becomes so intensive. Like you needed creditors, you needed a financial sector that could speculate and provide lines of credit to keep capitalism alive. Now, in a digital era, you need surveillance capitalists to keep a globalized economy that is connected through high-speed telecommunications technologies. You need a surveillance capitalist class to kind of manage that. And because of their management of that, they've, I think, taken the mantle as the top of that machine, of the mode of production based on capital. And here we have a tech bro who are the top surveillance capitalists of our time. And Sam Altman is a very particular type of tech bro. He's almost like a Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's a little bit more idealistic than him, or a bit more of an ideologue. And we call Peter Thiel here the kingmaker because he does kingmake. But like Sam Altman also does a bit of kingmaking, but he seems to be a little bit more of like a slippery character who kind of just goes with the flow and gets stuff done and moves. And he's moving very well at the moment. Like he's in Project Stargate. He's been with Trump. He's getting all the big contracts, and all the rage is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the thing that is the household name. It's not Grok. It's not Gemini. It's not Claude. It's not Llama. It's not any of these other large language models. The household name that everybody thinks of when they think, chatbot or something like that, or AI, is ChatGPT. He controls that space. And so it's a big call for a tech bro. It's fucking crazy. And like I said, he's not your usual kind of robber baron style capitalist who, really thinks that they, or gives the presence that they own the world and everybody owes them a favor. He seems to be, easygoing, and like you have to watch out for that type of character because he's got a lot of power. And I think he's incredibly, like the hype around him is incredibly undersold, undercooked. He plays it in the shadows and like kind of flicks things off. You saw when he did his Project Stargate interview. I think that's actually good to watch that. I might get that up. Let's have a look if I can find that. Yeah, there we go. Does anyone know what Project Stargate is? The Project Stargate, anyway, is basically a commitment for $500 billion of investment over the next, I don't know, so many years. They need to get companies from all around the world and Americans to invest in AI technologies in America. $500 billion. And like he had Larry Ellison, I can't remember what this guy's name is, the Japanese investor, and Sam Altman there as the representatives of this this $500 billion AI enterprise into America. And Sam Altman was there, and he downplayed it so much. Sam Altman. Let's get to it. Should we watch Fox? Let's watch Fox. If Wings of Cheese was here, he'd be picking Fox. That's for sure.
Well, thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here today. We have
the Japanese
first
guy.
full day.
There we go, Sam Altman. Masushi.
I don't have too much to add, but I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era, and as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry.
So it's not AI to be built here, it's AGI. The word, no mincing there. They're going to build AGI. It's all about AGI.
Here, we wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is, I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
Can you just say one word? I hear so many.
Get back on the lectern. Yes, sir.
For solving things, cancer and all the different problems. How will AI help us with the fight against the various problems, diseases, etc.?
These guys can maybe share more about some of the work they're doing there. I think they'll jointly be some of the leaders.
Always deflecting. That's what I've noticed about him. He's always like, oh, no, other people can explain that, but I'll give it my best. Let me try.
About driving progress here, but I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one and heart disease, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Great. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, Larry,
So
he
we're
can't.
currently
Look,
working-
let me get back up there. Like, Sam Altman just downplays everything. He's a dangerous character, I'd say. That's just my opinion. Go watch out for these types. The tech Fibonacci spiral, not sure I believe that it's unlimited or that there's not a roof that is to its growth at some point. Constraints will always exist, something that relies on physical space for existence. Interesting. Carl, yeah, I agree. There could be a ceiling, but we're actually moving faster than previous forecasts right now on several levels. Computation, data intensity, software complexity, for example. What is your background, Kylie? Do you just really like this stuff, or are you actually involved somehow? We've got a few tech people in this community, might I add. Just a few. Which is good because I am not tech at all. If you press the T while in FreeTube, it will put the video into theater mode, removing those recommendations. Oh yeah, you can see the recommendations. I keep forgetting to cut that part of the screen off. Thank you, as always. See, this is what I'm talking about. I need tech support. Help me. I'm going down. All right, where's the theater thing? Let's have a look if I can find this. Where's the T? I'm just going to chop it. I'm going to chop it off. It's so hot right now, I'm going to chop it. There we go. That's less offensive, isn't it? Sorry, you guys can't even see that probably. Yeah, definitely am dubious about Sam Altman. I stopped using his tech recently. Yeah, interesting. I'm just super interested and have been for a while. I'm learning coding and software development around AI right now. Well, fucking good luck to you. Good luck to you. It's a good industry to go into. Oh, right. I get it. I get it. Thank you. Thank you, Avalava. Got it. Stargate isn't the secret government facility deep in Cheyenne Mountain. Bro, it's only out of jail because of these people. Yeah, I'm just a sci-fi fan who's seen and read these stories about this and can see where the marketing is coming from. There's a lot of marketing around this stuff. So let's have a little view of, I don't know if you guys are across this dude. I love him. I've got a special love for this guy. Look at that head. How could you not love a face like that? This is Gil Duran, okay? And in our early days of investigating the tech bros, we got introduced to Gil Duran by accident. And he is like this kind of journalist that used to be in comms for various Democratic politicians, but he's got a very special vendetta at the moment, and he goes after the tech bros. He seems to hate them with a passion. He doesn't trust anything that they're doing or anything that they're up to, and so he always has, like, constantly has interesting people on to talk about like what the tech bros are planning next. So if you ever, interested, go and have a look at the work of the Nerd Reich. That's the name of his his podcast and his channel, and his name is Gil Duran. And he's got on Karen Howe, and like I'm pretty sure somebody in Discord recommended that we all have a look at Karen Howe. She's just released a book called Empire AI, and so like she's done basically an investigation into kind of how the development of AI is following the exact same trajectory of colonialism in like the early stages of capitalism, and like throughout capitalism, I guess. But like she draws basically a conclusion that AI industry is like basically an empire, like it has areas on the edges of the capitalistic machine. So like in third world countries, I guess you would call them, developing countries, that like are kind of drawn into the center, and they're used to extract basically resources from them. They're given the raw end of the deal, and like it just draws everything back to the imperial core of world capitalism. Just like any other type of colonial arrangement, but the AI is a form of colonialism. AI industry is a form of colonialism. Big call, but that's like her grand thesis. But anyway, she is, I think, spends a bit of time in her book talking about Sam Altman. So let's have a look at what she has to say about Sam and see if it's got legs. So let's have a cracksy.
Which is the stunning ability to persuade Sam Altman. Let's switch to the main character in some ways of the book, just Sam Altman. And Karen, you describe Altman in the book as someone with a stunning ability to persuade often and get his way, which is a difference from a few of his key peers in AI right now, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, who people have learned not to trust or view in a more negative light these days. Yet underneath this sort of boyish boy wonder facade, there's something else, a ruthlessly ambitious streak that often ends up turning lots of people close to him against him. People try to push him out of companies more than once. You even report that Elon Musk felt he had been manipulated by Altman. And Altman, of course, was mentored by Peter Thiel, who was part of the PayPal mafia with Musk. So there's some connections here. And obviously, you've got a whole book that seeks to understand Sam Altman and his key relationships. But what did you learn about Altman's specific motivations in his quest for power?
The question of Altman's motivations is a really hard one, because one of the things I found most fascinating while I was reporting this book is I spoke to over 90 OpenAI people, as well as several more people that were close to Altman, but had not worked for OpenAI. And no matter how long someone had worked with him, no matter how closely someone had worked with him, they could not articulate what Altman's motivations and beliefs actually were. And the thing that makes Altman so persuasive is three key ingredients. One, he is really great at telling these compelling stories of the
He's a slippery motherfucker. That is it. Like right there. Just call it as it is. Like people can't even put down how they feel about him through conversations, because like she's interviewing people that speak to him on the regular, and like they don't even know what he's up to. Hey, he's a slippery man.
future that persuade people, as you mentioned, he has this persuasive power to join him on a quest or give him capital for a quest. He is really good at understanding what people need, how to motivate them, and how to put
Bro just wants a robot girlfriend. That's hilarious. Don't we all just want a robot companion? Hey, isn't that the quest? Since man first picked up a rock and used it as a tool, did they not dream of a robot companion? This is just the end goal of that long human trajectory. Insightful as always. It's not that deep.
push them towards joining the quest. And the third thing that people often reference is he has a loose relationship with the truth. So that's what makes him so persuasive. He can say what people need to hear to join on whatever journey he needs them to go. And because of those three things, when I ask people, what does Altman believe? They would often just say to me, well, I think he believes what I believe. Except that different people would have polar opposite beliefs and still be saying, I think he believes what I believe. And over time, the reason why some people who were very close to him then end up feeling this unease and then inevitably anger towards Altman is because they feel played by him. They start to feel that his actions and where he's ultimately pushing the company, pushing the trajectory of AI development, is actually diverging from what they thought he believed, what he told them he believed. And so that is kind of the heart of a lot of the OpenAI drama. It is also a really important dynamic in how AI has ultimately ended up in this scale at all costs paradigm of AI development, is because of Altman's ability to persuade and also the polarizing nature of his character.
I think the scale at all costs is a really good thing to remember. Now, when Facebook was just getting off the ground, Peter Thiel was one of the angel investors, one of the first people that pumped some good money into Mark Zuckerberg's project. He pumped like 500,000, which is like, considering what that company is worth, is absolutely nothing. But like, back in 2005 or whatever it was, that would have been a lot of money, I guess. But Peter Thiel developed with Mark Zuckerberg the idea of this very particular style of company structure that allows Mark Zuckerberg to also, while be the CEO, also still have all the voting rights or majority voting rights in the company structure. So it's a public company. It's gone public. There are shareholders that he is kind of, beholden to a certain degree, but nobody can outvote him. So they've set up a special dual style corporate structure, which is Peter Thiel's kind of golden formula for running Silicon Valley, like big Silicon Valley important corporations. And Peter Thiel was the one who helped inspire the original Facebook logo, which is move fast and break shit. Break things, but move fast and break things. And so this is a very particular Silicon Valley understanding of the world from the, this side of the millennia. They started developing technology and they understood that for it to work, it must be at scale. It has to be absolutely huge. For surveillance capitalism to work, you need scale. It needs to be fucking massive. You need to have millions and millions of people using it for this stuff to work, because in order for your data to work, you need to have large scale sources coming in and feeding stuff to make your algorithms better. Only with large scale data inputs can your algorithms work. So you move fast and you break shit. That was their logo. It was plastered all over their walls, inside their offices for years, until they started to get into big trouble for some of their more nefarious undertakings, and then they had to kind of retract that because it was too much for their public relations. Now, she has expressed then that Sam Altman is carrying this type of sentiment when it comes to open AI, which is move fast and like, you know, shoot first, ask questions later, develop this technology and do things at breakneck speed, and then figure out the ethical ramifications for things later. But you need to be in there first and get as many people on board as possible. I think it is no coincidence then, thinking of like what Sam Altman is capable of, being able to bring in heaps of investment. He's a mover and a shaker in that regard. He's very, he has a great ability to convince people and to, you know, get them to invest. And he unleashed the power of a large language model potentially before it was even really ready to be made public. There's a lot of argument and speculation, conjecture out there about, like, you know, when ChatGPT first was made public, whether it was really worth anything at all. Like, people were like, yeah, you can have like a chat with it, but like, fucking, what do you do? And like, look at it now. But ChatGPT is the household name. Like, there were competitors to like Facebook and things like that. There were other social media models, but like Facebook was the household name. They moved fast, they broke shit, they dominated the market. ChatGPT moved fast, got in there, dominated the market. It's the household name. It's got the notoriety. And guess who made Sam Altman? Fucking Peter Thiel. Like, this guy is honestly, like, it's great to look at Sam Altman, but Peter Thiel is like the kingmaker of Silicon Valley. And like, he's even more than kingmaking in Silicon Valley now. Like, you know, Trump owes Peter Thiel a lot. Like, Peter Thiel has backed Trump at points where Trump really thought like he was down and out for the count. But like, this is a very particular trait of Peter Thiel's. He's like I said, he's kingmaker stuff politically and in Silicon Valley. And yeah, Sam Altman has this motto, this air that he carries with him about moving fast and breaking things, and it comes, I think it comes from Peter Thiel, and she's picking up on that. Like, there's a lot of computer scientists and AI safety experts out there that believe that people are moving too fast with this stuff. Like, the whole reason that you have like Claude, we have Anthropic, which is basically being headed, you know, marketed as the ethical alternative to like ChatGPT. These were people that basically revolted against Sam Altman and OpenAI. They didn't like the trajectory that Sam Altman was taking OpenAI in terms of, you know, moving fast and breaking shit. And so they went over, joined forces with Amazon, because, you know, another tech bro out there was just like, hey, I don't want to be left out of the AI arms race. Come on, guys. And so like, he was just like, yeah, I'll give you whatever resources that you need. I've got huge data centers to run my Amazon empire. You guys can have a bit of compute power. Here you go. And so like, they formed Claude, or Anthropic was formed as a result of a disagreement between the move fast break thing kind of mentality of OpenAI. And like I'm saying, this stuff, my humble opinion, all comes from Peter Thiel. Peter owes Elon a lot for being such a fool that he played a part of court gesture so well that no one noticed who the true hand of the king is. Yeah, Peter seems to survive. Huge. I've got huge trucks of land. That's such a good, yeah, that's Jeff Bezos when he talks about Amazon. But I've got huge trucks of land. God, I hope that's a fucking Monty Python reference. That's so good.
I read that description of him in your book. It made me think. I do a lot of studying of psychology and persuasion, and there's a tactic called mirroring, where you just kind of nod and you tell people what they want to hear, and on some levels you even mock or mimic their body posture, because it sends this subconscious persuasive signal. This person wants to agree with you. So that kind of triggered to me that he's probably quite familiar with the technique of mirroring. Roger, this isn't your first rodeo seeing a boy wonder CEO trying to save and change the world. Any thoughts on Altman and what Karen just said?
So from 1956, when Silicon Valley was created by the AT&T consent decree, until 2009, it was a completely reasonable thing.
Look at Steve Jobs, back in the day. Hey, what a looker. Sitting in front of that Apple. Damn, Steve Jobs.
For people to trust that whatever Silicon Valley created was going to make their life better. That was a completely reasonable hypothesis. Since 2009, I think you can make the case the industry has been so predatory that one should not trust a single thing that they have done. nor believe a single thing that they have said. Now, when Karen talks about a loose association with the truth, that's just a beautiful euphemism, because the underlying premises of many of the things that have happened since 2009 are just like nonsense on their face, right? I mean, you look at crypto, for example, right? It's based on the blockchain. Now, one thing you know about databases is that you're supposed to have them become efficient as they scale. And yet the blockchain, every transaction costs more than all previous transactions because it changes, gets longer and longer and longer. And so the premise is just ridiculous. The same thing is true here. So with
Even 6 feet in the ground, Jobs still looks better than Elon and his laminated face. Fuck, that was savage. That was savage. Good call. Fucking savage.
generative AI, the idea is that we can apply statistics to a training set, and the mean value will give you something that is intelligent. That is such an obviously flawed concept. And then when you throw into the mix the fact that the training sets are not just biased because the data is biased, but also filled with nonsense, you realize that there are use cases for.
This guy's a fucking AI skeptic. One for you, Kylie. Hey? Ask this guy. He doesn't like, he thinks just AI is just full of nonsense. So there's one for the hallucination theory as well. They're full of bias and they're just fucking nonsense. There's a lot of people that are really upset about large language models. I've heard them called, which is pretty funny. The best description I've had of a large language model is a bullshit generator. That's what they are. They're nothing more than, bullshit generators, it's scathing. It's a scathing assessment.
Generative AI that makes sense in the hands of domain experts. But the notion that you can apply it generally, that you can use it for search, that you can use it for, chat bots and things that actually affect people's lives. I mean, that is so obviously not true that you have to ask yourself, how in God's name did this guy persuade these people? I mean, how is it that they were able to take him around the world and meet heads of state as though he was actually doing something important? I mean, to me...
I want to know more about this. Would you like to know more? I would. Thank you for asking. Why did Sam Altman accompany Trump on his tour of the Gulf states? Would you like to know more? What the fuck? Right, we've been talking about hallucinations. How's this for a hallucination? Eh? Sam Altman joined former President Trump. What? To Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, not for ceremonial optics, but as a key figure in negotiating major AI and tech investment deals. So Altman joined tech leaders like NVIDIA's Jensen Huang and Amazon's Andy Jassy to discuss and finalize multi-billion-dollar agreements on AI infrastructure, chips, and data centers. So we've heard about that. This is their version of the Stargate project, I'm pretty sure. These deals include contributions to Saudi Arabia's Humane AI project. UAE's Stargate Data Center Initiative, U.S. export policy ship. The Trump delegation lifted Biden-era chip export restrictions, opening the door for Gulf nations to import tens of thousands of high-end NVIDIA chips annually. Damn. There you go. Altman supported the move, calling critics naive for questioning its benefits to U.S. interests. Now, I would like to know for geopolitical purposes, we've been speaking a lot about just general surveillance capitalism stuff, but for geopolitical purposes, what are people's thoughts on restricting high-end chips from countries from China, basically? Because the big thing about what Biden was doing, I thought, was restricting it to go to other countries because then they leak those things to the Chinese. Does anyone have any commentary or any thoughts on, whether the US should be restricting high-end chips leaving the country? It's a massive geopolitical discussion. If we had to believe the hype that the AI arms race is equivalent to the Cold War, then like restricting chips and stuff like that is like restricting uranium supplies going to certain countries so they can't develop nuclear weapons. It's a fucking huge call. Kylie, I understand the skepticism, but he sounds a little bit behind the times considering many factors. Claude AI now being estimated to be in top 30 coding experts in the world, for example. Dr. Nathan, that trip, the UAE, was the end of the Trump-Elon friendship. I feel like it was because Sam was there and getting everything Elon wanted. He finally released. He was being played. Yeah, like Elon just seems to get played by all of these other more like savvy Silicon Valley types. They just have that business a business understanding, like in terms of like the politics of business, that like Musk seems to miss. He seems to historically get pipped by these people all the time. But like, I think what the old guy was saying at the start though, Kylie, was like, he said something like, yeah, it's going to be good for experts in a given field, but like it's not going to be general. So that's an interesting comment. And it like runs in line with like kind of my discussions on like things being used as tools actually, and like we should be using these things as tools to help us, not expecting them that they're going to save the human race or something, or become general as he was complaining about. But like yeah, and so like for coders and for like people that understand what's going on in that field, then like it's potentially game changing, and like will reinvent that entire industry. But like for general people, is it going to be a game changer? I don't know. I'll have to start coding. Also, they're all on a lot less drugs than him by the sounds of it. Another astute observation there. Thank you, Dr. Nathan. Strategic diplomacy. This lap of business diplomacy was intended to showcase American tech leadership and secure Gulf sovereign wealth investment as Saudis' $600 billion and the UAE's $1.4 trillion pledge. I didn't realize it was that much. $1.4 trillion? That's fucking mental. By personally attending the investment forums, Altman helped elevate the credibility and visibility of OpenAI in these strategic partnerships. Like, at the end of the day, they really are just capitalists, aren't they? Like, they are surveillance capitalists. Like, they just can't help themselves. They're just like, oh my God, but if I get my claws into the Arab states, they got a lot of oil money, hey? I could become a multi-billionaire as opposed to just a general billionaire. They just got to get in, unlock that market. He was not there, Altman was there not as a tour companion, but a principal negotiator and ambassador for US AI. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Fine. So he was an ambassador. He was picked. Like he's a big player in this game. I wonder why Trump didn't pick Mark Zuckerberg.
We're going to look back on this thing and people are going to wonder, wow, how did everybody fall for this thing? And Microsoft is obviously a huge factor in that. They legitimized this company. And Google clearly could have killed them in the crib in 2022 had they simply pointed out the obvious, that you cannot apply this to search successfully. But all these CEOs in Silicon Valley, they're billionaires completely isolated from normal people. And they're really competitive with each other. And so Google, for whatever reason, just had Microsoft envy and decided.
I'll tell you. I'll give you my Marxian analysis on this. So sit the fuck down, old man. Take a seat. I know you're already sitting, but listen to this. They couldn't help themselves because of the coercive laws of competition. If AI is really going to be the new top means of production in a capitalistic environment, we're in a surveillance capitalist environment, and like having dominance over the digital highways is not enough. You also have to have the cutting edge machine learning in order to support your business practices. This is the epitome right now, living in this AI arms race. This is the epitome of the Marxian lesson, which is capital is subject to the coercive laws of competition. You have a bunch of capitalists who compete in an industry, and like they level out at what is socially necessary at the time in terms of labor input and output through the productive forces. So basically what you produce is leveled out because the technology, because they're in constant competition with each other, they sit at a like kind of a level of equilibrium. And then one person will get the edge because they add something to their technology, and that increases productivity. That increases either the productivity of labor or just the productivity of the technology that is being used. And they get the edge on everyone else, and then they reap more of the profits from that system. And then somebody else figures out what they've done, and then the whole field levels up because the technological change becomes kind of ubiquitous, and then they all keep on progressing together. This is the coercive laws of competition, and those who don't progress in that trajectory get left behind. And so like if AI is going to become, you know, the most cutting edge and important factor in the surveillance capitalist world, and you don't get on top of it, you will die. And so, like, of course, Google was going to get on top of it and into the AI arms race and start pouring all of their stuff into these large language models if they're going to be the future of how the capitalist class controls labor. And, like, we forget that, like, controlling labor in a capitalistic environment, the central social relation between capital and labor is not just about putting labor into motion to produce value for capital. It's also about suppressing labor, too. Like a big factor in the capitalist system is about producing an industrial reserve army. An industrial reserve army, in the Marxian sense, is a group, a large section of the population that is out of employment to help keep those that are in employment at suppressed wage levels. Capitalism loves a massive section or a good, healthy section of the population being unemployed, so it can justify and turn around to the laborers that are employed, that are producing value, and say, hey, there's a lot of people out there that like your job. So if you try to organize or ask for better pay, you're fucking out of here, kind of thing. So like, this is just part of the dynamic of that relationship in capitalism. Google were never gonna just turn around and let OpenAI develop this technology and never be part of it because they thought it was like a pie in the sky stuff. They need to get in on this game. They all need to get in. Whoever's got the means, the productive forces, and whoever's got the spare capital to get in on this is getting in on it. They're all like moths to a flame. They cannot avoid this. This is just one of the fundamental criteria of capitalism. Kylie Wyote, oh, okay, my bad. I missed the first part of what he said. I still disagree. I myself am working on an application for self-learning agent with a front-end UI designed for anyone to use. It can fully integrate to a PC, full customization, and any other compatible technology ability to inform on any topic on an expert level. If I'm working on this, others are doing way more. Sounds like you're making a good tool. And like, yeah, this guy doesn't share your beliefs, apparently. Roger McNamee? So what's Roger McNamee then? Roger McNamee. I think he worked for like Google or something like that. This guy. What's his background? He was in tech, in something. Maybe Facebook, actually. Let's look him up. Let's see if he's worth his salt. Like, why should we listen to your fucking opinions? Eh. Where are you? Where did it go? Sam Altman overview. Oh, they're searching the web. It's trying hard. Yeah, it is the guy. Well, look at that shot. That's a sick shot. American entrepreneur, investor, author, and musician. Known for his significant contributions to Silicon Valley and his advocacy for digital ethics. He is the author of Zucked, Waking Up to the Facebook Catastrophe, a book that critiques Facebook's impact on society and democracy. He's been an outspoken critic of big tech companies, particularly Facebook, and has advocated for stronger antitrust enforcement and digital privacy reforms. Yeah, right. Okay, so he began his career in 82, where he managed a science and technology fund. In 91, co-founded Integral Capital Partners, a pioneering crossover fund combining venture capital and public market investments. He later co-founded Silver Lake Partners, 99, focusing on technology. In 2004, he co-founded Elevation Partners, private equity firm with notable investments in companies like Palm, Forbes, and Facebook. Yeah, I knew he had something to do with Facebook. So, like, you know, he's probably like quite across what goes down, right, in Silicon Valley. But like, he seems like a massive skeptic. Okay, he doesn't share your eagerness, it would seem. Look at the CC. All right, what did you get done for, you bad man? Oh, no way. Ken of Chaos got done as well. Ages ago. Like an hour ago. What'd you say? AI replaces the something... human labor, maybe, in the stupidest ways. It's replacement of creativity, but not human grunt work. The labor it replaces is for the sake of the capitalists a lot of the time. Like, come on, why can't I generate an essay? And I'm like, yeah, I got done. Thanks for putting that in there. I'm trying to generate an archive of all the stuff we get censored on. And Dr. Nathan got censored, but I'll give it. The UAE and Saudi really did learn from the British. I mean, they're still enslaving Africans from Sudan today. Whoa. I can see why YouTube didn't like that comment. You're not allowed to say stuff like that. Don't be so open about it. All right, let's get back to it.
Chase into the space. And all of this, Altman had a lot to do with all of that. And I look at it and I just go, it's unbelievable to me because it is so obviously BS. It's stunning that they've gotten away with it for as long as they have. Now, you see in the field, almost all the news reports are of the products failing, right? There are more than 300 legal cases that have had citations that were made up. You know, you've had chatbots telling people to commit suicide. You've had all these search results that are obviously ridiculous. The technology clearly doesn't work.
He's focusing on the negatives, but like, you know, he's got a point. Have you heard about, there's a recent example of I think it was therapist, an AI therapist, someone using a chatbot integrated into some therapy system, and they were asking AI, basically, someone was trying to get over a methamphetamine addiction, and the AI was helping this person with their coping mechanisms, and at the end of the week the AI was like, oh, I think you've done really well this week. Give yourself a pat on the back. And like, to celebrate, you should just, you know, have a little bit of meth to kind of celebrate your successes for abstaining for the whole week. And obviously that was very controversial because the AI therapist was suggesting that someone should get back on the gravy train, get back on the wagon and have a little bit, fall off the wagon and have a little bit of meth to celebrate something that they're obviously trying to kick, which is kind of funny. Like, you have to admit, like, not for the person, but like, just like, this is what the AI is capable of at this point. And like, it doesn't know until it learns this stuff. It is machine learning. And so without these interactions, like, you know, it's capable of this type of stuff. And so like, we are going through an experimentation period at the moment. And so like, the Silicon Valley ethos, we have to remember, is move fast and break things. Like, okay, the technology is doing stupid shit like, you know, making making false citations for people that are putting together legal cases to submit to the courts to be accepted by a commissioner or a judge or something like that. It's like telling people that are, you know, trying to get over their meth addiction that they've had a good week and they should, you know, have a little bit of meth to celebrate. Like, you could spend your time making sure these algorithms are better at what they do and they don't do this, or you could just unleash it to the population in typical Silicon Valley style, unleash it to the population and figure out the problems as you go. Like, fuck it, let's go live. And like, you just kind of fix these problems and address this shit as you can. You move fast and you break stuff. And like, if you break a few people on the way, hey, fucking who cares? That's the price of progress, baby. Like, but like, this is the thing, like, the machines will have to learn. And like, what is better for the machines to learn on than, like, you know, real people? Like, this is just the collateral damage of capitalism and like these liberal types, like Californian musician dude over here. These liberal people just don't have the vocabulary to be able to articulate the real problem here. These people are capitalists and they don't give a shit that like they're getting lawsuits and like people are upset with their products and stuff, because these people are also helping develop their products for them, which is like the thing that these people, I guess, miss in the jump to complain about like their shortcomings.
I mean, not in the generalized case. It clearly works for domain experts in their area of expertise, but 95% of the uses of the products is in places where people don't know the topic and can't evaluate the results. And it's being used in schools as a substitute for actually learning how to think or learning how to write or how to reason. I mean, there's no good outcome that comes from any of that.
I know it's kind of scary. The children in my family beg me to show them AI. They know about it. They want to get on there and use it. They see it like a toy, that is some thing, and it's scary what's going to happen to this next generation when they have access to these tools. I forbade it myself, but we'll see what happens in the long run. It seems to be part of the whole fascination with these guys is the archetype of Steve Jobs that they all try to project. This idea that everything will change and technology will change everything, but we saw that happen the same with Elizabeth Holmes, and that seems to be closer, Roger, to what the actual model is than to the Steve Jobs model there. And it seems to be just this kind of quest for power as well, Roger. So let's unpack that dynamic a bit.
I'm really enjoying this, but I'm gonna get some work done. I just turned notice on for your channel, so hopefully I'll catch more of your streams. Yes, and like join the Discord. You saw the invite in there. Join there, and like I'll put notifications up and all that sort of stuff. So, yes, enjoy. Like, good luck with your work. Good luck to you. Dr. Tyrado, afternoon. I miss any big points? Fuck. Have you missed some big points? We've had some pretty philosophical debates today, might I add, about AI and the ramifications of AI and stuff like that. And like, especially like Sam Altman's kind of contribution to the whole AI hype race. So yeah, look, I guess takeaways, Sam Altman is a bit of a slippery character. He's not your traditional CEO tech bro style who's like, you know, big macho alpha male who thinks that they're on top of the world because they're a billionaire. He seems to be, you know, all art of the persuasion kind of dude, tells people what they want to hear, and like, you know, maneuvers perfectly to get massive funding for his various AI projects and aspirations. So like, he's just a clever mover and a shaker. And like, he's really important compared to some of the other tech bros, because like the other tech bros have got like other businesses that they're involved with. They've got like other capitalistic ventures that they're tied up with. But Sam Altman, like, a large language model AI is his baby. And so like, you know, he's been the poster boy of the Project Stargate, the $500 billion AI project that was promised by Trump on his like first day. His first day was like, we're going to spend $500 billion in America to develop AI here. So like AI is a massive thing for the Americans, and Sam Altman was the poster boy for it, not for the investor class, but the poster boy of AI itself. And then Trump took him on excursion with him to the Gulf states, UAE, Saudi Arabia, to be an AI ambassador. This is what Sam Altman's persona is. He is the AI ambassador for the development of American, US-led AI culture. And so, like, we've just been kind of learning a little bit about that. But, like, we were trying to get, like, more of a personal understanding. Because, like, if you've seen much of Sam Altman, you've seen the pictures, you've seen the PR, you see, like, him talking in a conference or, like, giving a speech somewhere. He's all, like, timid and, like, he's all shy and, like, he's very, you know, dismissive of his own... He exudes this, like, very humble and softly kind of spoken personality, but he is very, very determined, and he's very, very manipulative in the sense that the anecdotal reports on what Sam Altman does is like he speaks to multiple people. They all have their own like different opinions on what AI should be doing or how they want to invest in AI and what type of ethical approach they want to take to AI development. And he just says, yeah, I agree with you to everyone. And they all have opposing opinions, and they all think that he's on board with them. And this sort of stuff comes out in the wash. Like he had a falling out with Elon Musk. Elon Musk thought they were in agreement about where they were going to take it OpenAI, and then they had a falling out. So Altman became CEO, and Musk got out of there. The same thing happened with the people at Anthropic. The people that founded Anthropic, which gives us the LLM Claude, they were people that were disgruntled with Sam Altman. He promised them more ethical development of AI, a large language model, and like he wasn't delivering. So they took their talent and they fucked off and they created Claude. And so like Sam Altman seems to be like this, you know, humble, timid dude that just is able to kind of move throughout Silicon Valley. And like get good money and investment in his technology. He convinced Microsoft to do it somehow. That's a big player. He somehow convinced Bill Gates to let him access to his servers so he could develop this technology as a non-for-profit kind of thing. But anyway, he might be very calm and seem introverted or something like that, but he's incredibly strategic and he gets what he wants. And like he's muscled his way in, or he's maneuvered his way in to be basically the spokesperson for AI. Like, you know, if people are still speculating on the feud, like between Trump and Musk, like I'm sure Musk has got a chip on his shoulder to some extent about like how Trump favors Sam Altman over him when it comes to like AI knowledge contracts and the relationship that those two have, and like how Sam Altman has been pinned as, like I said, he's the poster boy for US AI and its development. Dilemmas 85. Oh my god, I'm late but not too late to throw a like for the algorithm gods. Thank you. Throw in a like for the algorithm gods. Throw in a comment too. Share if you want to please the algorithm gods. Give it a share. Throw it to your friends and anyone that you think might like it. They definitely, the AI gods definitely love a good share. Yeah, wasn't there some cuck accusations with Muskrat or rat or something? Really? Like what? What did Muskrat say? Like about Sam Altman? That's interesting. Hey? The plot thickens. But like, yeah, basically we've just found, like, we've been trying to get to the bottom of Sam Altman personally, because like what I see is he shills hard for the AI hype, which is like, oh, you know, AGI is around the corner. Actually, we've already developed AGI. We just haven't released it to the public yet. Like he's a lot about that type of stuff, where like the large language models have been demonstrated time and time again to be riddled with problems. They have hallucinations. They fall short when it comes to business applications. They have ramifications for like, you know, providing counseling services to people, or like therapeutic services to people. They have problems in the legal field where they're like, you know, people are using them to generate cases and they're coming up with problems. So that there are clear limitations on them, but like his shtick, his his pitch is always one of like, we're just like, the singularity is around the fucking corner and like it's going to change the human race forever. And he pushes this story massively. And like, while there is so much evidence and like truth behind the fact that like machine learning technology is moving really fast and it's come faster than most people expected, like there still isn't any really verifiable proof that anyone has generated anything that is commensurate with the idea of artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence, or we're on the verge that like, Skynet is about to happen and the human race is basically going to be redundant, which is the type of story that like people like Sam Altman push. So like, I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with ye old Sam Altman, and he comes across, this is the big point here, he comes across as a very endearing character. He has this air about him of like, you can trust me, just give us more money and like develop infrastructure on our behalf, and like, we will make sure that this is good for everybody. But we know from our investigations on this channel as part of this movement that you never trust a capitalist at face value when they say, look, just give me the reins and I'll look after everybody. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to whatever is in their business interest. They will continue to make those decisions. And a big part of his ethos is move fast and break things. The typical Silicon Valley philosophy that has been crafted and disseminated by Peter Thiel. Yes, you've heard that correctly. Peter Thiel, the kingmaker himself, was associated in the creation of Sam Altman. So like, Sam Altman gets a lot of his AI ethos or his Silicon Valley outlook on the world from someone like Peter Thiel, who is more than happy to endeavor on things that are very ethically questionable when it comes to the use of machine learning technologies. Look at his involvement in Palantir. Look at his involvement in something like Clearview AI and like the role of basically surveillance systems. And so like Sam Altman, while like I said, he gives the veneer of innocence even, and humility, is right in the thick of the dirtiest and darkest parts of AI, or AI development. And so like the only question now to ask, considering all the things that we know about like the Dark Enlightenment and Curtis Yarvin, is like, where does Sam Altman sit on the issue of Curtis Yarvin? Let's ask his own AI platform about this. I would be really interested to know. So thank you for spurring on that question, Dr. Tyrano. I'm going to ask the hard question now of OpenAI. Do you know, or do you have any sources that would demonstrate or show a correlation between any of the ideas that Sam Altman has, or the way that he views the world, and that of Curtis Yarvin? The influential Silicon Valley philosopher. These are the spiciest fucking question I've asked all stream. I can't wait to see. No. There's no strong, credible evidence that Sam Altman aligns with Curtin Yarvis, Mencius Moblug, or publicly embrace Yarvin's neo-reactionary Dark Enlightenment ideas. But like, why would OpenAI tell us, eh? Let's be honest here, eh? Shared networks, not shared ideas. Some media mention that alt-right accelerationists, including Nick Land and Curtis Yarvin, exist in the same philosophical sphere that discusses tech and societal critique, and occasional articles note Sam Altman in proximity to these discussions. The New Yorker and Wikipedia, eh? Wikipedia primary source, as always. That doesn't mean direct endorsement. Yarvin on Sam Altman. Yarvin has mentioned Altman by name in his podcasts on Grey Mirror, for example, an episode where Sam Altman is not a blithering idiot. There you go. Interesting. No evidence at this point. But like, why would you tell us anyway? Hey, OpenAI. Let's move to your competitor then, shall we? Let's see if Claude has an opinion on that. I'd like to see Claude trash Sam Altman. That'd be funny. It's just like, yeah, fuck Sam Altman. We exist because we hate Sam Altman. All right, here we go. Let's have a chat. Can you please consider whether or not Sam Altman and his worldview or ideological framework is consistent with that of Curtis Yarvin? Please provide sources if possible. That's really thinking about it, old Claude. Okay, Sam Altman's worldview. Altman has described advanced artificial technology as the harbinger of the globalist utopia, a technology that wouldn't be walled off from national corporate boundaries, but enjoyed together by the species that birthed it. Yeah, interesting. The fundamental tension lies with opposing views on democracy, equality, and power distribution. While Altman advocates for democratizing AI benefits globally, Yarvin explicitly opposes democratic governance and egalitarian principles. Altman's globalist utopia vision directly contradicts Yarvin's preference. Their approaches to technology also differ. Altman sees AI as a tool for broad human flourishing within existing institutions, while Yarvin's framework would concentrate technological power among tech business aristocracy. Yeah, it's a bit lazy, that response, I think. Reflections by Sam Altman. Interesting. So they are publicly antithetical to one another. But like, you know, they're both associated with the Kingmaker, Peter Thiel. So they mustn't be too far. I think even if Altman isn't working under the philosophy of Yarvin, he and the work that he's doing is instrumental in the Dark Enlightenment. It wouldn't be possible without him. Very interesting point. Very interesting point. Yes. Because like the whole culture that Sam Altman has developed, as we have kind of seen throughout his history, like with his entry into Y Combinator, which is like an important startup development firm, which he became president of, he has helped develop the culture, the startup culture of Silicon Valley, and produced this idea, this understanding that like Silicon Valley is where the innovation is at and is the trajectory for modern society. It is this Silicon Valley style. And that's what the Dark Enlightenment is this acknowledgement that thanks to kind of accelerationist activities, the forefront of capitalist development is where Silicon Valley is, and where, or if not Silicon Valley, where AI development is. It's the next manifestation of capitalist productive forces. And like he's been at the forefront of pushing this idea that we need to move fast and break shit in order to develop this technology so we can own it and we can control it and like be on the forefront of it. So that's an accelerationist take, if anything. And so why he might, yeah, like I said, publicly be like, no, it needs to be universal and it needs to be controlled democratically. that doesn't mean, like you said, he's not across these ideas of accelerationism, which produce a culture which is materially antithetic to democratic societies, because like they want to make sure everything is run by experts because they just do things better. And we need to make sure that a CEO king kind of runs that situation because experts do things better. Very interesting stuff. All right. Well, look, I'm going to leave it there for today, but like, it's been an interesting episode nonetheless. I know some people have come in late, and I apologize that I'm not sticking around any longer. But like, you know, you can go over and have a look at some of the chat. It's been interesting. Or like I'll put out some clips at some point as soon as I get the time. But yeah, thank you everybody for your input today. If you're new, you've been like watching this, you're new here, you're not typically acquainted with the movement as such, or you're not across everything that we do, please come over and join our Discord. Come and join us over there, because this is where we share our thoughts and our propaganda. So please go over to the Discord. Here's the invite. Introduce yourself. Like I said, share your propaganda. Have a look at the propaganda that we got over there, but share your own. That's where we continue these discussions. And also, if you want notifications, please come and sign up on my Patreon. You can become a free member, no strings attached. And that's how we get notifications out about what's happening. But like, if you can financially support, I would very much appreciate that, so I can continue doing this and not have to go back to my old job of hustling to survive kind of thing. So yeah, I like to just do the quick call out. Xanthophyll, thanks for being here. Ollie Atlas, Indoctrinathan, Voltateur, Max Hastings, Newbie, Kenna Chaos, Miles. Who have I missed? Anyone? No, I think I got everyone. Kylie Wyote, it's been a while. Good to have you around. Dilemmas, good to see you at the end. Dr. Tyrano, thank you. thank you. Avalava, hope you've enjoyed this one as well, because I know you have some interesting ideas, not only about LSD, but about AI, etc. So thank you everybody, and we'll be back on Monday with another live stream on YouTube. Enjoy your weekend. The time that capital cannot touch you, you've earned it, and if you're working, I hope you get compensated for it. Until next time, please remember, I am, you are, we are MysterE. Enjoy your weekend.